We customarily call this story about Jesus in the temple the cleansing of the temple. It's appropriate for this time of Lent, which means spring, to do a little spring cleaning. But Jesus does it with a lot of vigor, doesn't he? It's not just a cleaning, it's a cleansing. You know the difference? You've cleaned your house, and then you've cleansed your house. And, he does it with some, maybe it's violence, certainly some anger, most certainly some zeal. That's the way his closest disciples saw it. They saw him do what he did, and they remembered the scriptures that said, zeal for my Father's house will consume me. It kind of harkens to a version of today's first reading. It's in a different place because the Ten Commandments happen 2 or 3 times at least. Moses comes down, right, with the tablets, and he's so angry that they're worshiping an idol that he throws the tablets down in anger and smashes them. Then he has to go all the way back up and get the commandments again. But similarly, Jesus is concerned about idol worship. In this case, so he has zeal, but sometimes we talk about zealots, which is a negative term, a fanatic. And he's confronting the temple fanatics, the ones who have their way of doing things and want to keep it that way. The selling, yes, but also the whole system. And the selling, yes, needed to be done, but not with these extortionist prices that kept the poor from their worship. Or all this selling was done, allowed only in the court of the Gentiles, and so even the Gentiles who came to visit, they had to deal with all of this chaos in the court of the Gentiles. Jesus wants everybody, the poor and the Gentiles, to be able to encounter God at the temple, to experience true and authentic worship. But more than that, it's maybe not even so much about the cleansing of the temple. And maybe the reason why Jesus does this with such drama is because he's really putting on a performance to claim authority. The authority to say that he himself is the true temple. He is the temple. And it's no longer then about signs or idols. It's about a person. It's about encountering God in this person of Jesus. It's about a relationship which can't be controlled and so easily regulated as we like to do our lives with God, with one another. And if he acts with violence in this story, he acts with the opposite in his final sign when he gives himself up to the cross, lets himself be killed when he could have made it happen in so many other ways, right? And this is what Paul's talking about, the folly and the weakness of the cross. These people wanted signs, but instead Jesus gave them weakness. But it's a weakness that's stronger than any human strength. The Greeks want wisdom, Paul says, but instead Jesus gave them folly. Yeah, go ahead, take my life on the cross. But God's folly is greater than any human wisdom. Jesus is the true temple. But then it goes further, because with that cross of his and his resurrection, then we become temples. That authentic worship takes place in our souls. Today, Jesus wants to cleanse our hearts, to overturn the tables of our idols. What are those idols? What are those tables in your hearts, in our hearts? Those tables of control, of human definition of success, of fear. Do you idolize fear? Of glamour, of looking good in others' eyes, of control, of perfection. Anybody want to name some others that we might be tempted to turn to? Idols. Money. Good looks. Power. Over God, over one another. Being right. Good one. What's that? Thank you. Lent. Lent? Janelle? Addictions. Yeah, thinking we can fill our emptiness anywhere but God. Romance, sex, good things, but not God's. So many things. So the question for the day: Jesus, what idol in the temple of your heart does Jesus want to overturn this week so that you can have a more zealous faith? What idol does Jesus want to overturn in your heart? What idol? So let's take a few minutes now to write down our answers. The sheet should be at the ends of the pews, and some pens there and in front of you and pencils.